two things together. Let's go ahead and move on to the next. Okay, here we have, this is a barn. This is out in the middle of nowhere. You can see there's a whole lot of junk in there, and sitting on this trailer is a 1957 Corvette, and whatever little pieces we could find and kind of throw in there, we found. Let's go ahead and move on to the next one. This is another picture of the other parts, but this is the body. And there again, you can see it's in the middle of a whole bunch of junk. We've got another vehicle sitting over in the back, but we were concentrating on the Corvette. So let's move on to the next one. This kind of gives you an idea as to what we had in the car. We had to make a lot of changes. You'll see there's things that were done to the vehicle to put it back into an original state, but we're still collecting pieces. Let's move on to our next one. This is a nice little side view. You can see there's actually a lot more there to the car than meets the eye, but it's in pretty sad shape. But it was good for someone like me and what have you to rescue this car. Always felt good, and this is on its way to a restoration. So we'll move on now to the next one. Now this is the interior of the same car after it's had some upgrades. We did a color change on it from the red and white to the blue and white. So we, of course, picked up different pieces as we were going along here. So this is all the interior. We have the gauges all restored, radios back in place, and so on and so forth. So going on to the next one. Now this is a better shot of the interior, so you can see that the interior now has been completely restored. Now you see the engine. We found pretty much all the original parts for this car, and it was a matter of getting it all put together and put back in place. And this is a project that took quite a long time to do, but it's well worth it in the long run. Okay, let's move on to our next slide. Of course, now this is me. This one's a little blurry. That's taken from a different camera, but you can see me in the car. Now this is in its running state to the garage where it was at a little earlier. So it's just a matter of seeing me in the car here, so you know that I'm not just showing pictures. Okay, one more. Now back to the garage. This is where it stays, and now you can see it. Now this is a 1957 Corvette. It's what they call the hard top rag top. So it has this hard top comes off, so it becomes a convertible, and then the convertible portion of it sits down in the back here inside. So that one, I don't believe I have a picture of it with a convertible top up, at least in this segment here. So, but this is good enough to see how the car turned out. And was this the last one, or was there one more? Okay, so we're back to pretty much our opening screen here. So we can see now from where it was found and to where it's at in its running condition today. Now, all in all, how do we tie something like this into an MLM business? Well, I was talking a little bit earlier to Dr. Shin, and I was telling him, when you look at beginning to the end, we can see our starting form of the business, which would be, of course, the red and white shell of the car. So in a sense, that's when we first start our business. We're just a shell. We get in there, we don't necessarily know what we're doing, maybe, or we just have all these pieces that we're trying to put together to make a business out of what we're doing through the NMN. So now we also have our picture of the completed portion of our business. So now we have our dream, the red and white car. Our passion is the NMN. We put our dream and our passion together to get the final product, which would be the completed 1957 Corvette in this sense. That's our completed dream right there. So now we've tied our passion and our dream into the same goal. And that's very important when you think about it. If we have too big of dreams, maybe our passion might send us in the wrong direction. So when we can put them both together, we become much stronger, and we're more eager to work as a group, as a team, to listen to those who have actually made a success of their business and learn from them so we can also be successful. And that way we can also make our dreams come true. So when we think about something else here, what's our motivation? First of all, our motivation usually becomes, in this sense, health. We're in a business where health and longevity is a very important thing. So we're motivated by wanting to feel better, have a better quality of life, and also we're motivated to help others achieve the same thing. Well, how do we do that? Well, we use the NMN in our business to be that motivation. We know what it's done for us. We know what it can do for others. So we're motivated to help others learn about it, understand what the NMN can do for them and how they can be healthier, and also turn this into a lucrative business. Earlier, I was also talking to Melissa. We were talking about this is not just wages. This is a residual income. This is something that we will have coming in, whether we're eating, sleeping, traveling, whatever we're doing. Through this type of a business, you have a residual income. So your income stays the same. There's many people I know that are, of course, not right now with the COVID issues, but they would visit their family in other parts of the world, and they could go on a vacation for 30, 40, 50, 60 days and still be making the same income because it's residual. It's coming in whether they're actually there or not. Where if you're working at a regular job, you have to be there, you have to clock in, you have to account for your times, you have to, everything that you do is all under supervision in that sense. And you get a certain set wage, and you can live on that for the most part. So, that's really not a bad thing. But when we're talking MLM, it's unlimited. We can bring in as many people as we can. We can talk to as many people as we can. They have people they can talk to. So that's why they call it multi-level management, of course. It continues to grow and grow and grow. And the more so we do that, the better it works for us in the long run. So each person will have their own dream, and they'll have their own passion, and their motivation goes along with both of those things. Some people may just want to be healthier. Maybe they're a little older, they don't think they can really do a business, but they do want to have better health. Well, this works for them as well. They can come in, they can take the products, they can share the products. They don't really have to be motivated to do a big business, but in the long run, if they share this with enough people, they can end up getting their products for free because they're bringing in enough people to give them a little bit of money on their books or on their what we call a product card. So they're actually able to collect enough money to not have to pay for their products anymore. That's their motivation. They don't want anything more than that. And there's others who really do want to make a business of this, and that is something they can do as well. Those are the ones who will attach themselves to the people that have actually been doing this and very successful with this, and they learn from them, and they learn from sometimes their own mistakes. We've all made mistakes, so we learn from those things, and we learn how to do it better. And the more we do it, the better it gets and the easier it gets. Questions, asking questions. There's nothing wrong with asking questions. Questions are so important, especially in this type of an arrangement, because we're working with other people as well, and we want to be able to answer questions that they have. So the more we learn, the better we become at a business such as this. And these types of passions, I guess you could say, or dreams, this is what makes you grow a strong MLM business. We have different things in our life. In this case, I chose to share my passion for these vintage cars. Now, I've been working in this particular industry my whole life. My grandfather was a blacksmith. My father was a mechanic. Together, we had a family business that was in the automotive industry. And so I grew up on these type of cars, even the old car in the background. That's things that I grew up with. So that became my passion through my whole life. I've always been into doing automotive. And by having a business such as this, the MLM business, it gives me more freedom to be able to pursue those passions. And I can pursue it in a way that is less stressful. We all have enough stress in our life right now, so the less stress we can have, the better. So if you work on that business, then your time becomes your time more than it becomes someone else's time, because this gives you that freedom to be able to pursue those things in life that you want to pursue. So that's how you can tie your dreams, for instance, in with your passion. And eventually, this gives you all of those things all together. I can never stop talking about NMN. I remember at the beginning of all this, they wanted me to talk mainly about the cars, but I can't do any of this without talking about NMN, because, for instance, it's given me the ability to work on these things again. I'd had some health issues and other things that made it hard for me to do certain types of work. And now the NMN has given me back a good 15 or 20 years of my life, is how I feel. I'm more active. I'm able to do things that it was very hard for me to do. I had a lot of pain doing different things, and now that pain isn't, excuse me. My throat gets a little dry. I'm not used to, I like to talk, but I'm not used to talking so much in a row here. So when I think about it, the NMN has allowed me to pursue my dream, or pursue my passion, in a way that was more of a struggle at one time. Now it's back to at least being able to do it the way I used to. And if you think about it, even gaining back 10 or 15 years of good feelings in your life is wonderful, because I've always heard someone saying, oh, if I was 10 years younger, or 5 years younger, 20 years younger. Well, we've actually been able to do that with the NMN. It gives you that that youthful feeling back. That's is there any other questions, Melissa, that you or Alan had that you want me to follow here, or?
Not right now, Donald.
Okay.
Let's wait a few minutes, okay?
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I have a quick question, if I may, Don.
Yes.
Sure.
My question for you is that before you start your work, were you able to imagine what that car will look like?
You know, when I'll tell everybody, you were the one that compiled these slides. So you took the beginning photo and you took the ending photo. And in my mind, yes, I can see when I'm looking at the red car, I actually saw the completed vehicle in my head. Now, however long it took to pursue that is whenever you get all the parts together, you're able to put it together, get it running, and put it to the completed form there. But yes, the answer is I saw the full picture of the car in my mind from the beginning. And this is something that I wanted to share with everybody too. When we're looking at your MLM business, you want to be able to see the beginning because you're already there, you're starting it. But you also want to see in your mind what it's going to look like when you achieve that completed business form. That means you have successful people under you. You have things working in your favor. You are very comfortable with talking to people about the products, and you understand the products. You understand what they do. That's another reason why we're having this meeting tonight, is to learn a little bit more about what the NMN is and what it does for you. So when you have those things in your heart and your mind, you see the completed business. Now, kind of where it goes from there, it's unlimited, but you want to be able to see yourself at the start, and you also want to see yourself at the point of, in that sense, like the car here, in a completed form. And if you can do that, then you will be much more successful in your business because you know what you want to achieve and that it can be achieved.
I have a follow-up question, if I may. So you are very experienced, and you've done this, for life, and I'm sure you have restored many other cars. But did you make any mistake when you try to restore this car?
Oh, of course. And reason being is that, I learned a lot. I thought I knew quite a bit about it, but there's a lot of things that I learned in between from, for instance, I learned that the two rarest cars, or the Corvettes, were the 1957 and the 1963, what they call the split window. The 57 was only a half-year production because they had scrapped the production of the Corvettes in the beginning of 1957, and they retooled and started again in the middle of 1957. I never knew that. So that was something I found out. The 63s, they only had that one year with what they called that split window because people complained about the strip going down the middle. They couldn't see very well. So those are the two rarest ones. The other thing I learned is that each one of the hard tops was fitted to its own car. So the mistake that we had made, of course, we didn't know that when we were purchasing parts. So found out that when we got this top, it didn't fit right. And it never would fit right. You have to fit the top to the car in order to get everything to seal properly. So yes, there's mistakes you make. Sometimes you get an incorrect part, but if you aren't aware of it and it's put in the wrong spot, you might crack something or what have you. So there's so many little things that you make along the way. sometimes engine configurations. Took a lot of time to get the right engine configuration set up for this car to make sure that it was legitimately from 1957. But there were a lot of mistakes that were made along the way. And once you learn those things and you become more of an expert as you go along with it. So yes, there's mistakes you'll make, and hopefully they're not disastrous. But in the process, mistakes can be good lessons. And those lessons, when you learn them, you share those with your downline or your upline, depending. You share them with everybody, in other words, so they don't make those same mistakes as well. And that puts you in a better position with people that you work with, because they become more trustworthy around you, or they feel more comfortable with you when you're working, because they know you're not afraid to admit your mistakes. And that was a good question.
Thank you. That's very good to know. I bet if you quit, you will never be able to see this beautiful Corvette sitting in the garage.
Yeah. Well, this is this actually got sold this weekend. So this is
Congratulations.
it has a new little family that will be resting with, but it's also still within the realm of the group that we know. So the car is not really away from us, and it's accessible at all times. So I still get to maintain it. There's not too many people that really know how to work on these cars and to keep them in running order. So that's kind of something that's followed me for many years. And the other question you were asking or saying, yes, I've restored many different types of cars, from Corvettes to Mustang Shelbys, Chryslers, all sorts of old cars, from Model A's. I mean, it goes way back. Those are what I cut my teeth on, as they say, as a young man. So always visualize your completed business. There's nothing wrong with that. It doesn't mean it's an overdream. It just puts your passions together with your dreams, and it can become as a reality.
All right. Thank you, Donald, for the wonderful speech.
Well, thank you for having me. I just, it's really nice to be able to share with everybody. I don't normally talk about these things because, I'm not the type of person to really boast, but it was fun to be able to share these things with everyone.
Thank you. It was very inspirational. And maybe you
Thank
want
you.
to film your next car restoration and make a documentary on the Netflix next time, okay?
Okay.
Okay, now let me introduce Dr. Zhang, our second speaker today. Dr. Zhang graduated from Beijing Medical University from China and holds a PhD degree in biochemistry from Texas Christian University. He spent his early career at National Institute of Health as research scientist. He then spent 16 years in a senior management position at the American Society of Clinical Oncology. Currently, he is a senior consultant to the National Cancer Institute. Dr. Zhang is also a member of iHealth Global Distributor Committee and is responsible for iHealth product training. The title of his talk today is A Brief History of NMN. NMN Metabolism. Dr. Zhang, the mic is yours now.
Thank you, Melissa, for a nice introduction, and thank you again, Don, for sharing your story. I always fantasized about the classic cars. Not that I know a lot about them or I can afford them, but I'm just amazed by the craftsmanship of these cars. Restoring a vintage car from basically scrap metal is a real piece of engineering. And I bet there were a lot of uncertainties, as you mentioned, mistakes, bottleneck, going back and forth, in addition to the hard work. But when you see this beautiful, 1957 classic Chevy Corvette, everything is worth it. It's all about passion. Albert Einstein once said, I have no special talents. I'm only passionately curious. So passion is energy, passion is power, and passion is NAD plus that fuels many our activities in our life. It's an integral and dispensable component of our success. I'd love to spend the next 20 or 30 minutes to talk about how NMN can boost our passion. But in reality, I'm going to talk about how NMN is used by our body. So in the past two seminars, we had a brief discussion about NMN's discovery and its many health benefits. Today, I'd like to discuss how NMN is utilized in our body and address some of the frequently asked questions about taking NMN. I'd like to summarize what we have learned so far and try to use that knowledge to guide our usage of this important molecule. We know that the reason that we want to take NMN is to increase the NAD level in our body. The NAD is critical. It is required to maintain our cellular metabolism, keep our body healthy, and potentially slow down aging process. Unfortunately, our NAD level decline with age. Other health conditions like virus infection, chronic inflammation, and cancer can further deplete NAD in our body. The decreased level of NAD causes aging and aging-related disorders, and this vicious cycle just continues. That is why we need to take NMN to boost our NAD level. So I'd like to focus my discussion on the following topics today. First, the source of NMN. Where can we get NMN? Second, the absorption of NMN, how our body picks up the NMN. And the metabolism of NMN in the cell, how our cell utilize this compound. And at the end, I'd like to address some questions about how to take NMN. So before we start, just a quick disclaimer. iHealth products are dietary supplements. We cannot claim they can diagnose, prevent, or treat any disease. This presentation reflects personal views only, and this discussion is not intended for medical advice. Please consult your doctors for any health conditions. First, let's take a look at the source of NMN. Where can we get NMN? So when we talk about things like nicotinic acid or nicotinamide, most people are not familiar with these chemical terms. But when we talk about the vitamin B or vitamin B3, many of us have heard about it, right? You probably hear people say, lack of vitamin B leads to skin problems like dry, flaky skin or cracked skin, right? Nicotinic acid and nicotinamide are the two forms of vitamin B3. If you take a look at these structures, right? Structure-wise, they are very similar. Nicotinamide riboside and nicotinamide mononucleotide NMN are two vitamin B3 derivatives. If you add a ribose, a sugar, to the nicotinamide, it becomes NR. And when you add a phosphate group to the NR, it becomes NMN. Inside our body, these molecules can be converted into each other via enzymatic reactions, depending on the local condition. One thing to note, they are very water soluble. meaning that they can be absorbed pretty easily by our digestive system. So can we get NMN naturally, for example, from diet? The answer is yes, but not enough. NMN exists widely in nature, including vegetables and fruits. For example, broccoli, cabbage, cucumber seed and peel, tomatoes, avocado, and also meat, including seafood. But the quantity is very small. So here is a table to summarize the quantity of NMN in these fruits or meat. According to a study by Washington University, to obtain the daily dose of 250 milligram NMN, you will need to eat about 100 kilograms of broccoli, or 69 kilograms of avocado, or 416 kilograms of beef. So basically, you have to eat like 2 cows in order to get 250 milligrams NMN. It is not realistic to obtain enough NMN from plants or animals. But looks like vegetables and fruit have more NMN than meat. So there's still good reason to eat more vegetables. So we cannot get enough NMN from diet. Then we will need to take the supplement. There are several forms of NMN supplement. For example, our iHealth product, Gene Balance capsule, right? It's a capsule format. And NMN coffee and NMN effervescent. I have also seen NMN powder and tablet on the market. In animal studies, researchers have used intravenous injection or intraperitoneal injection. IV method might be more effective in terms of absorption, but it is very inconvenient. And I don't see any company selling IV product. And someone asked if NMN can penetrate skin, because we have NMN skincare products. The answer is yes, or most likely yes. So typically, a molecule has to be water soluble and have a molecular weight less than 500 Dalton in order to pass the skin. NMN is very water soluble, and its molecular weight is only 334 Dalton. So we also have a case from our customers a while ago who had a severe burn on the arm and hand. And he opened several capsules and applied NMN powder on the damaged skin. It helped him ease the pain and resulted in a faster recovery. So yes, NMN can penetrate skin. Now let's take a look at the absorption of NMN. The left chart is an animal study from Washington University. Researchers fed mice with NMN orally via a small tube. The red line here is the plasma NMN level in the blood. And the blue line here is the NAD level in the liver. So the chart shows that about 2 minutes after NMN intake, there was a rapid increase in the NMN level in the blood. The blood NMN level returned to its pre-treatment level about 10 or 15 minutes later. At the same time, you can see that there was a steady increase of liver NAD level corresponding to the NMN increase. So this chart shows that NMN can be quickly absorbed by the gut and enter into the blood. And within 15 minutes, the absorbed NMN start being utilized by the tissue. Researchers also find that besides in the liver, NAD level in other tissues like muscle and brain were also increased. And there was another finding in this study. NMN was quite stable in water at room temperature. After 7 to 10 days, over 95% of NMN remained intact. The chart on the right are from the human trial from Washington University. A daily consumption of 250 milligram NMN resulted in increased NAD metabolized in human muscle. And this is an indirect indication that NMN increased muscle NAD production in human. We just mentioned that NMN can increase the NAD level in the brain. This indicates that NMN can cross the blood-brain barrier. So what is blood-brain barrier? It is a highly selective semi-permeable membrane between blood and the extracellular fluid of central nervous system. It prevents certain molecules from entering the central nervous system. It is a protective structure. If a medication cannot cross a blood-brain barrier, it won't exert its therapeutic effect in central nervous system. So NMN can cross this barrier, meaning it can work in the brain, which is quite significant. The right chart shows that different tissues have different level of NAD. Tissues that have high metabolism tend to have higher NAD level. For example, you can see liver and kidney and pancreas and heart have the highest level of NAD. So NMN can be absorbed into blood. It can cross the blood-brain barrier, but can it enter the cell freely? That question is still being debated. In the past, researchers generally believe that NMN cannot enter the cell on its own. NMN has a phosphate group we just saw in the structure, and it is negatively charged. This would make it very hard to penetrate the cell membrane. People think that NMN has to be converted into NR first outside the cell, and the NR can enter the cell. Inside the cell, NR will be converted back to NMN, and then the NMN will participate in the production of NAD. That is the old belief. In January 2019, 2 years ago, researchers from Washington University published a paper in Nature magazine reporting an important finding. They found that NMN-specific transporters in the mice small intestines. This transporter is specific to NMN. It would transport NMN only, not NR. Furthermore, there are more transporters in the older mice, indicating an age dependency of this protein expression. So the new theory is this. This new theory, NMN can enter the cell on its own by this through this very specific NMN-specific transporter. Still, not everyone would agree, since the human version of this transporter has not been identified. However, from a practical perspective, whether NMN can enter the cell on its own, or it has to be converted into NR first, enter the cell, and converted back into NMN, does not really matter. The bottom line is, when you take NMN, you boost your NAD level. Whether it takes 1 step or 3 steps isn't that important from a practice perspective. Okay, now NMN enters the cell. how does it boost NAD level in the cell? Let's take a look at the NAD synthesis in the cell. The left diagram shows the NAD synthesis. There are two pathways for NAD synthesis. One is called de novo pathway, de novo, meaning from the very beginning. The other pathway is called salvage pathway, meaning rescue NMN from its loss. So in the de novo pathway, NAD is made from scratch, from the niacin or the vitamin B3 or amino acid tryptophan after several steps. The salvage pathway is essentially a recycling among nicotinamide, NMN, and NAD. When we supplement NMN, either directly or via NR, we push the reaction to produce more NAD. Salvage pathway is the dominant process to produce NAD in our body. This chart also shows that if you have a high level of NR, it may degrade it into nicotinamide, and too much nicotinamide can inhibit NAD production. So the diagram on the right shows how NAD is consumed. So the left side shows how NAD is produced. The right side, this diagram shows how NAD is consumed in our body. So there are multiple ways our body consumes NAD. First, NAD is used to make ATP and produce energy. So that's the energy production. NAD is also used by the enzyme called PARP, which is the DNA repair enzyme. So NAD is used to repair DNA. Also, NAD is used by the longevity protein called sirtuin. Right? Sirtuin, NAD is a coenzyme for sirtuin. By activating sirtuin, NAD can improve the insulin sensitivity, decrease inflammation, regulate circadian rhythm, improve mitochondrial functions, and other health benefits. The NAD is also consumed by an enzyme called CD38 and participate in the immune response. Lastly, but also important, the ratio of NAD versus NADH, its reduced form, is also an important signal in the cell, modulating many metabolic reactions. So now let's take a look at some frequently asked questions related to NMN metabolism and how to use NMN. The first question is, I guess it's probably the most asked question, is how much NMN do I need to take every day? How much? So before I answer this question, let's revisit the purpose of taking NMN. The purpose of taking NMN is to boost our NAD level. We know NAD level declines with age. We know that certain diseases like infection, inflammation, and other chronic conditions further deplete NAD pool. So we want to restore the NAD level to the stage when we were young. This youth level varies from people to people. Your need can be different from mine. That is why there's no standard on how much NMN we need to supplement. Many factors to consider: our age, our health conditions, even our lifestyle. So we can get NAD boost from exercise or calorie restriction like intermittent fasting. This is why when you look at the label on the bottle of our NMN, it says daily value not established. That's the reason. But from safety perspective, NMN is very safe. Probably up to 1,000 milligram per day. Human trial by a Japanese group in 2019 showed that single dose of up to 500 milligram were safe. It doesn't mean that higher than 500 milligram is not safe. It is just that they did not test higher dosage. Other human trials showed that longer terms of NMN consumption is also safe. Harvard professor Dr. Sinclair shared his personal usage with many media. So he takes 1,000 milligram or a gram of NMN daily with several other supplements for a couple of years. We also have a lot of members taking NMN over 2 years, and there were no major side effects. Some resources suggest that people take a dose deducted from animal studies, and that translates into 8 milligram per kilogram of body weight per day. So 8 milligram per kilogram of body weight per day. So if you are 60 kilogram, if your weight is 60 kilogram, about 130 pounds, based on this calculation, you would need to take 480 milligrams of NMN every day. But I don't think this deduction is backed by strong science. We know that in animal studies, researchers tend to use a very high dose to show the positive result, right? The result that is statistically significant. If you give them animals smaller dose, it may not show the result or show something significant, something notable, right? The animal don't talk, right? And the researchers have to observe the changes. So the research always try to give them a higher dose in order to see some significant changes. But for humans, we want to use the smallest dose to achieve the best outcomes. It is safer and it is more economical. So I don't think this 8 milligram per kilogram body weight should be used as a guideline. I think we should start with smaller dose. While there's no guideline in terms of daily dosage, but many start with smaller dose. For example, healthy adult can try maybe 1 to 2 capsules per day. That is, our iHealth product. That is 75 milligrams to 150 milligrams. Adults with certain health conditions may benefit from a higher dose, like maybe 150 milligram to 300 milligrams. That is a 2 to 4 capsules. You can always experiment and adjust the dosage based on your own personal experience. So next question, when should we take NMN, right? When should we take it? In the first human trial, published in April 2021, this year, the participant took 250 milligram NMN during breakfast. I think the reason they take NMN in the morning is more of a logistic considerations. Everyone would, take it around the same time. It's easier to manage. And we know many people take NMN with an empty stomach. Dr. Sinclair takes NMN and resveratrol with some yogurt, right? The yogurt will help resveratrol absorption in the morning. So he takes it in the morning. But some people worry that taking NMN with food will, stimulate the release of stomach acid and many other digestive enzymes and may break down NMN. Well, this is so far a speculation. There's no evidence that NMN is broken down with food. Taking NMN every day consistently is probably more important than when you take it. some people like to take NMN with other medications or supplement. I think that's a good idea because it is convenient and you won't forget, right? If you need to take some other medications, at the same time, take the NMN, you won't forget it. So NMN may boost your energy level and make you feel alert and energetic. And if this is the case, you may want to take it during the day instead of in the evening, so it won't keep you awake at night. But if you feel sleepy after taking NMN, you may want to take it in the evening, so it won't interfere with your work, and it will help you go to sleep faster. So you may find out what is the best time for you. So if you take NMN at different time during the day, will that affect NMN's metabolism? Will that affect how body use NMN? We know that NMN can regulate circadian clock via the NAD and sirtuin pathway and may improve sleep. But will circadian clock affect how NMN is metabolized in our body? Scientists have discovered that the circadian clock can affect how drug is metabolized in the body and even affect drugs' therapeutic effect. For example, studies show that certain cancer drugs, when taken at different times of the day, may have different side effects. Other studies show that circadian clock influence DNA repair process. This area is called chronopharmacology. But is there any evidence to show that taking NMN at different time may affect its function? Let's take a look. So this lady is a Canadian scientist, Dr. Anita Layton from University of Waterloo. She published an interesting article in iScience magazine titled Aging Affects Circadian Clock and Metabolism and Modulates Timing of Medication. She was using computational biology method to study how circadian clock affects the metabolism of mouse liver. She looked at the NAD level and the activity of sirtuin protein. And these are the findings. First, the NAD level and the sirtuin activities are affected by circadian clock. That's the chart A and B shows that NAD level and sirtuin activity are affected by circadian clock because you can see this go up and down at different time of the day. And they are pretty much in sync. However, aging causes the decline of NAD level as well as the sirtuin activity. And also the effect of circadian clock disappear. There are much less oscillation in the old animals here. Not like the young animal. The blue is young and the red is old. The second finding is NAD level and sirtuin activity reached to the peak around noontime. If you supplement for NAD, like for example, taking NMN at noon, the paper suggests you could maximize the effect, right? The highest peak appear in red compared to blue. So in the second row, the red is NMN taking at around noontime. The green one is in the evening, and orange is in the morning, and the blue is control. So we can see that the peak appears to be in the middle of the day. So the paper suggested that if you take NAD supplement around noontime, you may have the maximum benefit. compared to the other time, right? So the lowest peak appear to be in the morning or in the evening. So how to interpret this result? Some people went too far by claiming that the only good time to take NMN is at noon. Taking NMN in the morning or in the evening is basically a waste of money. Well, is that true? Here's my thought. This is an interesting study and definitely has scientific merit, but it cannot be used as a practical guide for taking NMN. And here are the reasons. First, the experiment was conducted in mouse liver, right? The circadian clock in mouse is quite different from human. We human work during the day, we stay awake during the day and rest at night. But mouse is just opposite, right? So can we apply what we learned from mouse to human? That's my biggest question. Second, the study was done in liver, but NMN also works in other tissues, for example, muscle, brain, kidney, etc. Will the result be the same in other tissues? And third, the study was a computer model simulation. It's not the observed result, it's a simulation. And it only considered three limited factors: the sirtuin activity, the AMPK, and mTOR pathways. It ignored the master circadian clock in the brain. The author recognized these limitations and suggested that if we consider other tissues, we must consider other factors, for example, the master circadian clock in the brain. So the conclusion is, although this study is interesting, the result from this study cannot be used to guide our NMN usage. The next question, what are the side effects of taking NMN? Actually, there are very few reported side effects in the literature, but we do hear from time to time from our customers that there are some undesired symptoms. The definition of side effects is quite different in the traditional Chinese medicine. The practitioners of traditional Chinese medicine believe that in order for the body to get better, it is quite common to experience some uncomfortable reactions. And these reactions are necessary and just part of the improvement. I am not an expert on the traditional Chinese medicine, so I won't be able to discuss in more detail, but just want to mention it. In Western medicine, any undesired symptoms can be considered side effects, right? So the common thing, side effects may include minor skin rash, itching, joint pain, dry mouth, constipation, and some may also experience palpitations and feel some may feel lightheaded or even changes in the blood pressure. And we do have some customers' feedback on these. Are these side effects the result of taking NMN? Maybe, and maybe not. Because most people taking NMN already have certain health issues. For example, heart problems, high blood pressures, arthritis, and etc., right? So from Western medicine perspective, some of these reactions may be due to changes in the metabolism in our body. So what to do when side effects occur? Well, we need to pay attention. So if you have these side effects or undesired symptoms, consider reducing the NMN dose. If that doesn't help, you may want to stop using it for a little while and see if the uncomfortable reactions go away. You may want to resume maybe in a couple of weeks and give it a try. Also, you may want to consult healthcare professionals, your doctors, especially if you already have some health issues. The third thing is that please pay attention to the elderly and patients with severe health conditions, because these quote-unquote side effects may not be due to NMN, but rather a progression of existing disease. So check with their doctors to make sure. So there are some additional questions. For example, like, can I take NMN with other supplements? To me, there's no conflict. But if you already take NMN, there's no need to take another NAD booster. Otherwise, to me, it is redundant. If your body is lacking certain vitamins or nutrients, for example, vitamin D, to me, you should supplement. I believe we should supplement only when there's a deficiency. One note is that NMN may improve how our body, use certain nutrients and may help close the gap. So someone asked me in the past, can I take NMN with alcohol? My answer is always no. In fact, you should not take any supplement or medication with alcohol, because alcohol can affect your liver metabolism and change, the function of these medication. NMN has shown to protect liver from alcohol-induced damage in animal models, but you should only use them at a different time. Will NMN affect other prescription medication? Possibly. I'll give you an example. So if you are taking immunosuppressive drugs for maybe organ transplant, you have to check with your doctor, because NMN may boost your immune system while your medication is trying to suppress the immune system. If you are undergoing a targeted therapy, for example, taking PARP inhibitors, check with your doctor, as NMN may active PARPs, right? NMN, will increase NAD level, and NAD is a cofactor of PARPs. So taking NMN may actually activate PARPs. But if you are taking the PARP inhibitor, there might be a conflict. It may make the medication less effective. So another thing is that NMN may improve certain metabolism or health conditions and reduce your dependency on certain medications. Just an example, NMN may improve your insulin sensitivity and reduce the need for diabetes medication in the future. But again, check with your doctors to make sure. The bottom line is, NMN is a supplement, not a prescription drug. It cannot replace your current prescription without your doctor's approval. Check with your doctors if you have health conditions, especially severe health conditions. And I think that's all for my presentation. That's all I'd like to share with you. Thank you for your time, and I'm going to turn this over back to Melissa. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Dr. Zhang, for such great presentation. We always learn something from you every time when we have the Zoom meeting with you. And it's very helpful for me to understand how NMN works in our body, and will definitely help me explain NMN to others. Now we are open to questions. You may put your questions in chat or simply unmute yourself right now.
Well, before we get some questions up there, I wanted to say thank you. Thank you, Doctor, for that. That was a great presentation, and you had a lot of good points in there. And I just had someone at the office today. She's a doctor, and she's had a few patients that have had those very same issues that you were talking about in your presentation tonight. And everything that you had discussed, I shared with her, reducing the dosage or just stopping totally. There's so many different ways we can go about this, but you put it together very well, very concise, and I really enjoyed this. So thank you so much.
Well,
Thank you,
Don. That's
Donald.
very encouraging. That motivates me. That's one motivation. So I want to share what I know. And it's also a learning process for me. Each time I prepare this material, I learn so much. And I want to thank our audience for asking questions, because that just make me think, help me to learn. I have a lot of things I have to learn, but this is great. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Donald, and making such brilliant photos. Let me, everybody see that. I feel so honored sitting in the car right now. That's wonderful. Thank you. Yeah, I see on the chat section, somebody asked, can NMN rebuild muscles?
Okay. So I think you asked NMN rebuild. So there's a rebuild. Let me share with you what we know. So in the animal study, NMN actually make the animal more slim. So they reduce a lot of fat, and the muscle becomes stronger but more slim. So the animal looks slim, but it runs longer. So Dr. Sinclair, in his book, Lifespan, he shared an interesting episode. So one day, he was just arrived at the office, and his co-worker told him, there's a problem with our treadmill, the treadmill for the rat, the test, the running of the rat. There's a problem. It broke down. So Dr. Sinclair thought, oh, that's not good, because we need that equipment to run our test. So they called the technician, they come here. It turned out that it's not a machine breakdown. What happened is that the program was set at 3 kilometers. So if the machine runs, if the mouse runs for 3 kilometers, the machine will just stop working, because no one has seen a mouse run nonstop for 3 kilometers. They may run for 100 feet or so, but not 3 kilometers. So what happened is that this mouse has been taking NMN, and it has so much energy, and they can just run nonstop for 3 kilometers. So that was amazing. So I think NMN can help to increase the strength of muscle, but NMN may not, build our muscle, may not make us look like Schwarzenegger. It's just not that. Also, NMN, in the human trial, NMN increased the hundreds of genes expression that may related to muscle remodeling. Suggests that NMN helps the muscle to, turn over faster, and maybe that's part of the rebuild in this question. So I guess if you mean by turn over the muscle cells, make the muscle more stronger, and yes, I think there's a clear evidence to support that claim.
Okay, the same person asked, he had a steroid injection due to elbow trigger point while he's still taking NMN. Is it still okay?
Sorry, which question? I'm looking at the chart.
Yeah, that was down a little further there.
Yeah, down a little further, but it's from the same person. So I asked a little bit earlier.
Yeah, I saw that one.
Okay.
see.
Steroid injection.
Yeah, right here. Hi. Yesterday I had a steroid injection due to elbow trigger point while I'm still taking NMN. Is it okay?
Yes, actually, so I guess the reason to take the steroid injection is try to release the pain, right? So the medication, the injection may help you to reduce the pain quicker. But NMN, I think we have enough evidence to show that NMN will help with reducing the pain and reduce the inflammatory reaction that may be associated with the injury. So yes.
Yeah. Now, yeah. I also would like to add that the NMN is not necessarily a quick fix. You have to remember that it's not something you're going to take and instantly have certain pains go away unless you have been consistently taking NMN for quite an amount of time. You may add a capsule or two if you have an ache or a pain or something to that effect, and it will help to alleviate that pain a little faster than if you had, let's say, just started taking it not too long ago. So sometimes you have to keep in mind that the NMN is a more gentle form of repair to where the steroid in this case is, as doctor brought out, it's a quicker to the point fix. To get through the pain so you can continue working faster. But yes, continue on your NMN. It's not going to hurt you. And eventually it'll actually maybe even help the steroid work a little better at that point. Help it metabolize better. So you're okay with that. That's a good question, by the way.
Yeah.
For the addition. Thank you.
Thank you.
You made a good point. Sometimes NMN effect is slower. But one thing is that the steroid, you can take it occasionally, but it's not suggested taking it for a long term because steroid may have some negative effect on the bones. It may cause other conditions. So
yeah, the steroid use, steroid use is not good for long term. But it's not going to hurt you if you don't become dependent upon it. And that's where a lot of people will make mistakes as they continue getting the steroid injection because it feels good for so long. But stay away from that side of it, but stick with the NMN. And I know it'll be a much better thing for you. That's worked well for me. I've been taking it now for 2 years, so.
Okay.
So there's a question, I think, what is NMN made of? So NMN is a molecule just like vitamin B3, right? It's naturally available in food, in dietary, in plant, in animal, in meat. It's there, right? It's just like vitamin B. So if that's what you're asking. And it can be synthesized from amino acid like tryptophan, as I mentioned. If you take amino acid or nicotinic acid, these molecules can be converted into NMN as well. That is part of the de novo pathway. But the majority of the time, NMN is taken from our dietary and it's recycled, in our cell.
Yeah, and I also understand that, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I understand that the NMN is of the family of the vitamin B, but it's not considered strictly vitamin B. Like now, NR is considered a vitamin B, but the NMN,
absolutely right.
Yes. So
You're absolutely right.
Yeah, I try to tell people that help them understand this is not a vitamin. It is a supplement, but it's not a vitamin.
Right.
And
it's called
really
derivative. I think it's called derivative. It's derived from vitamin B3. It's similar, but it's not.
Right.
You're absolutely right. It's not.
Right.
And the function is not. The health benefit is it's not exactly the same. there may be some overlapping, but definitely it's a different molecule.
Yes, yes, and that's really important when you think about it, because it metabolizes in the body much different than a vitamin would. So uh, uh, that's really what this whole talk was about tonight, was to help us understand how the NMN metabolizes in the body. So that's a very good question. And we always appreciate these questions, because I mean, Alan and I, we always talk about how your questions make us better researchers and make us better teachers, because we take every question to heart. And we learn so much more about these things too when we look into them later, because we're here to help you.
Yes.
And that's our whole purpose to being here, is to help everyone who's in attendance tonight to be not only better in their health, but to be better advocates for the NMN gene balance when it comes to helping others in growing your business. So we love these questions. And may I talk about this other question I see here from, let's see, is that Aini?
Aini, yeah, Aini.
Yeah. NMN help cancer patients. Now, there again, now we're getting into, and I just want to start this off, and I'll tell you why in a minute. But again, we want to make sure that people understand we're not trying to say this is going to fix or cure or do certain things that you want them to do. But I had two people today at the office, so sweet. They're just the sweetest young ladies that, well, they're in their 60s, but they're the sweetest ladies you'd ever want to meet. We had our pictures taken today because they're in the middle of their chemo, so they look like me. So they said, "Oh, my brother." So we're now triplets, as they say. But my point behind all this is both of them have had issues with being able to consume food, and they were told about the NMN. They started taking the NMN gene balance, and now both of them are able to eat to where they couldn't before. They just rejected everything they were trying to eat, but now they're able to eat, and they say they're so hungry they don't know what to do with themselves. They can't find enough food to eat. Now, for me, I think that's a wonderful thing, because many times cancer patients, one of the biggest problems they have is they are unable to eat, so they start losing their body mass. The cancer does certain things to them, even if they're going through their chemotherapy. So yes, it can help in some ways, but each person is going to be individually different. And there again, they are in constant consultation with their doctors, and now their doctors are more interested in the NMN because they're seeing the results that are coming from what they're doing. So always remember, each person's different. So what may work for one may not work for another, but I've seen two people within the past 2 weeks that are benefiting in the very same ways due to the NMN gene balance. I love it. We need more of that.
Okay. All right.
And also, just want to add, echo Ron's comments. We need to consult our doctors and keep them in the loop, right? But we also, I think, Melissa, we also receive at least a dozen, videos, feedbacks, witness to show the, cancer patient benefit from taking NMN. Some patient may, have a very severe side effect after chemo or radiation therapy, and NMN help to, reduce significantly this side effect. And some help them to regain the strength so they can, eat more, can be more active. It's just that there's a lot of positive feedback from our customers. But again, as Don said, different people is different. You want to keep your doctor in the loop. You want to have support from your doctor.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much. And I do see some other people still concerning about the sleeping. Like some people is not able to sleep after taking NMN. This is very, very common question right here.
Yeah. So we do see, honestly, depending on how you look at this, right? There are research shown that it helps to modulate the circadian clock. Make people who travel a lot may have trouble to sleep, and this may help. On the other hand, NMN boosts your energy level, make you energetic, make you like want to run forever. That may keep you from going to sleep. I guess for that, you probably want to adjust the time of taking NMN, right? If it makes you energetic, you want to take it maybe in the morning, so the whole day is you have enough energy for the whole day. But if it makes you sleepy, I wouldn't take it before my work because my boss will see me sleeping. But it really depends on individual condition, I guess.
Yeah, I agree with that. Each person is going to be different. We have one of the regular attendees at the office there. He can't take it at nighttime because it keeps him awake. So he just takes it in the morning, and he's got a lot of energy anyway. So for he's like the little energizer bunny. He's just so, but he just doesn't take it at nighttime. He's aware of it and he adjusts it to whatever works for him. So each person's different. Find that time frame that works best for you. And everything, again, you brought out, Doctor, in your presentation. It was so perfect tonight. It was just absolutely wonderful. It's all in timing and understanding, but at the same time, each person is going to be different. I like to take it 3 times a day. So I take mine some in the morning, some in the afternoon, and then some in the evening. So, but it works for me. Mm-hmm. And that may not work for somebody else. But whatever makes me feel better is how I adjust my dosage.
Okay. All right. From the chat session, and somebody say, thank you, Dr. Zhang, for the great information about NMN. And grateful to have Professor Zhang for your genius English presentation.
Thank you, everyone.
Hopefully we can have more of your impressive explanations. All right, thank you so much for your, this is such a good comments right here,
Thank
right?
You.
There is another person asked, can NMN help Parkinson patients or Alzheimer types of sufferers?
Yeah, that's a very good question, and I think that we have good news for you from 2 angles. One is there are actually quite a lot of study on NAD, sirtuin protein, and Parkinson and Alzheimer's, and Alzheimer's disease nowadays are considered also as inflammatory problem also. So NMN can help to control that. And there we have actually several feedbacks from our customers who, I think their parents had some early stage of Alzheimer's, and after taking NMN, they actually have much better improvement in terms of their daily activities and cognitions, and in general, I think NMN will help with Parkinson's, will control the symptoms, and also Alzheimer's. So I would think that's it's a very positive answer, and it's certainly worth trying if you have someone having these conditions.
We had one of the people at our office. He also does some of the videos for us as well. One of his relatives couldn't even recognize their own son, and after consistently using the NMN, she's now able to not only recognize her son but call her son by name. So, these are just different avenues and bits and pieces of things that we are learning continually about how the NMN will help people in many conditions such as this. So the other side of that is you don't know if you don't try. And if my loved ones and my mom or my dad were still alive and they were having issues with something like that, I certainly would not be holding anything back from them. Because I would want to see if it's going to help in any way, shape, or form. So, we don't know if we don't try, period. Even for ourselves. If we've got problems, if we don't try it, it certainly isn't going to work. So if we try it, we may be amazed at the things that you can do with the NMN.
Okay, thank you. There is another question right here. Wow, we have so many questions, more and more right here. Okay.
These are good. These are some good questions here tonight.
Very good question here.
Yeah.
Okay, so what are the ingredients in the NMN?
Yeah, so I will take this and I will ask Don to answer the next one. RA, I believe that's what's that? Rheumatoid arthritis. So Don, you can do that. But I will have a quick answer for the first question, the ingredient in NMN. So our eye health NMN is pure. The ingredient is one thing, NMN, nothing else. Okay, it's 99.8% pure, and the other are just maybe some materials that needs to be added to make the molecule more stable. So the ingredient is NMN. It's a single molecule, small, water soluble, can be easily absorbed, and it's 99.8% pure.
Now, okay, I'm going to add a couple things to that. We're working right now to increase our level of from a medical grade to a pharmaceutical grade, which is, we're pretty much already there anyway. The medical grade in itself needs to be brought into the body within 45 minutes from taking this. So, I mean, if it has any inhibitors or anything that blocks the bioactivity or the bioavailability into the body within that 45-minute range, then it cannot be considered a medical grade or pharmaceutical grade supplement. And then it becomes in the same line as an over-the-counter, so an OTC grade supplement. So we're already there. Ours goes into the system within that range, so that's why we have that medical grade on our products, which means we have to be within that 99.8% range consistently. We can't fluctuate anywhere below that, or we would lose that medical grade. So that's very important to understand. We have a patent on our source, so nobody can take the materials that we use for our NMN and use it for theirs. So we have that patent, and that's what gives us that ability to have those gradings on our product. So we stand out with that. I also appreciate that tremendously for what iHealth has done for us.
Thank you, Don.
Now you're talking about.
That's very important. And also, I think last time someone was asking you what it is, why we call it medical grade, right? Or grade 1. I think
Yes.
really helped to address that. I'm not sure if that person's here today, but thank you for coming back to this question.
Yeah, well, that tied in with what you were talking about. So I'm glad we were able to express that. As far as the arthritis part of it, I know you gave that to me because that was something that I suffered with my hand. I had problems with this hand here, and I was not able to close my fingers. It really inhibited me from being able to follow my passion with what we looked at the beginning of the talk here tonight. Not that I couldn't do things, but it just made it more difficult for me. But now I'm fully 100% active again with the use of my hands. I can do whatever I want to do with them. I can grip things. I can work so actively now by taking the NMN gene balance. And believe me, that is all I take. I take no other supplements whatsoever. I'm only taking gene balance. And you pointed out certain vitamin deficiencies. I was just, everything that you brought out tonight, I was talking to some people at the office today about those very things. If we have a deficiency in a vitamin, take that vitamin, but don't start taking multiple vitamins, because we could be overdosing our bodies with vitamins. Because one thing that the NMN booster does, when it boosts your NAD plus levels, that NAD plus can pull those vitamins out of the other portions of nutrition that we're acquiring through our foods and what have you. So we may not need all those vitamins, and multivitamins are packed full of supplements. So we could be overdosing in many ways. So you need to understand that vitamins aren't always the best thing, but we can have some deficiencies, and going to your doctor, getting your test for those particular things gives you a better path to follow if you think you really do have deficiencies in your system. But RA, it took me about 6 months before I was able to use my hands again, and it actually was a surprise to me. I wasn't even picking up on that until I realized I was using my hand, because I'd been so unable to use it for many, many, many years. And so it was a surprise to me. I didn't even expect that. Here it shows up, and there again, the only thing I was using was the NMN, so that's the only thing it could be. So.
All right. Thank you so much, Donald. It's good to know that, good to hear that. And we still have so many questions here, and we are almost running out of time right now. So let's do another couple questions, and then we'll wrap up today's talk. And if other people, we still have some more questions, please leave to next time. Every other week we will be here for people to share your questions or share your experience. And also we have training here every other week. Okay, that's English session right here. So next question is, any known improvement on hearing? My hearing seems a bit off lately. I think, yes, we do have the improvement on the hearing, right, Dr. Zhang?
Yeah, so we actually have a pretty interesting case I reported earlier this year. So someone actually had suddenly lost his hearing, possibly due to some virus infection. And this person, lost his hearing for almost 3 years, and he had tried every method that he can find, couldn't help. After taking NMN only, I guess, maybe a couple of weeks, and his hearing were, restored. So in this case, I think it may be, due to inflammation, maybe due to, some damage to the nerve, but it looks like NMN does have some effect on hearing and can improve hearing.
Mhm.
So I don't have other evidence to show, but I can certainly do some research. Actually, if Melissa, you can help to take a screenshot of these questions. I know that we're running out of time today, but I'd like to do some research and come back to our audience.
Yeah, we do have a couple of cases, right, from iHealth distributors. We do have some cases showing this improvement on the hearing. So we may go back to look for that if we can find the case out there and we can share to, I don't know, JD, I don't know who you belong to, but you can try to contact us or try to contact Donald, and then we may send you the sharing if we find that. Okay. All right. The next question right here.
Go ahead.
Okay. Can people take NMN at the same time when they consume antibiotics? Nowadays, many Chinese people are doing surgeries for beauty.
Okay, I think first you should use our iHealth, skincare product. It's probably safer, better than taking the surgery. If our iHealth product can help you, you don't need to take that surgery for beauty. But I don't see any conflict of taking antibiotics and NMN. So I guess the answer is yes, but talk to your doctor because you are, you have a special condition, you are after surgery, and see if doctor has any concerns. But from what I know, there's no conflict.
Okay. Let's keep going. That's next question. Thank you. Next question is, Donald, can you share how to enroll on Union Store requirements or how to qualify for it? I think this question is not for today's topic.
I just wrote him. Sorry, I don't want to interrupt, but I just wrote him to contact me again on the WeChat.
Yes.
And I will try to help him there. So,
okay.
We'll have to do that at another time because that's quite involved and there's more to it than just opening a Union Store. So I just wrote in the message there. And
all right, thank you.
I think it's Sue, is it Susie Core? Is that, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So anyway, that's how we'll handle that one.
Okay. Thank you. Wonderful. But another question I hear, this is like, yes, I understand fully of the explanation. So very grateful. Infant, I had NMN for a period of time with a stepping dose, but the pain is unbearable to bear. Having that injection is to relieve the extreme pain. Understand? Okay. So how will NMN help someone who just started on kidney dialysis?
So kidney dialysis, I think for that we have to be a little bit careful because when kidney fails, if you take something that it cannot be easily get released, so we have to be careful. But we do have feedback from our customers who had kidney problems, kidney failure, and on dialysis. And when taking NMN, it gives them more energy. They could, walk and climb mountains and things like that. So definitely, we have evidence to show NMN can help people with kidney problems. But because you have dialysis that's considered a severe problem, you have to talk to your doctors. But we do have feedback for that. And also, if you want to take NMN, please take the capsule, the gene balance, not the other form, effervescent form, because the effervescent, the oral rehydration salt has a lot of sodium, potassium, glucose. So because of the kidney failure, you want to be very careful with those, salt.
Yes, that's so true. Now, my mother, of course, she passed away in 2001, so that was long before we had any of this available. But she was on dialysis. She had diabetes. She had everything you could imagine going wrong with her. But I would have had her on this, of course, under the supervision of her doctor, just to see, because there again, I'd try whatever I could. but it's very important, especially when you have these types of conditions, you have to be in conjunction with your doctor. And that can be a good thing, because if it's helping, your doctor may help other patients in a similar way. So don't be afraid to talk to your doctor about it, but work with them. You know, it's your body too. So in conjunction with your doctor, you can become a good team, and maybe a tremendous advocate for the NMN, not only for yourself, but for others too, by doing that. So, you know, just make sure you do it the right way. Do it with your doctor's support.
Okay, thank you. Elaine saying that I saw the video sharing about electrolyte drink can light on the light bulb. And may I ask how we can explain to our client on this and how it can help to our body?
Okay. Well, it's interesting because both Melissa and I were in the video, so it's quite interesting that this question came up. But we have several different videos. One I had where I actually explained what the electrolytes were and how they work in the bodies. They're electrical impulses that are created through the electrolytes, and every one of our organs, our brains, our kidneys, livers, everything works off of electrical impulses. The electrolytes that we put back into our bodies through the refresh drink is just getting those electrolytes back into our system, so those functions work more efficiently. The reason why I came up with the light is because it actually shows from the water that we use, which is the purified or filtered water, usually out of your regular water bottles or what have you. There's no electrolytes, no process in there to turn the lights on. So when we add the tablet into that plain unfiltered, or I mean the filtered water, and it's releasing those electrolytes into the water, that's what creates the electrical current to allow the light bulb to shine and show forth the connection of the impulses there inside the water. So what we're doing is we're helping people see that we actually have not only a bioactive tablet, but it shows that the bioavailability of the product is also going to be there much quicker, because it goes into your system in a isotonic type form and is absorbed into your body much quicker that way, and more efficiently, and able to be distributed. Two of the co-transports is we like to say there is the sodium and the glucose. Those two transports together make the electrolytes that are in the drink more efficient, and they help them to get into our body much faster and more efficiently, allowing the electrolytes to do their job. So it's a little difficult to understand, but you can find things on electrolytes in on Google. We're going to try to have some more classes on that. I'm putting together right now a PowerPoint on just electrolytes. So, and that also covers the drink. So when we have that together, we'll do something like this as well. So everybody can have a concise PowerPoint, or just a concise talk just on electrolytes. That's important. We need to kind of isolate some of these things, so we have more things to talk about when we are helping people.
Okay. Thank you so
Melissa,
much.
I also want to address some of the questions answered last time, because I promised. I'm not sure if those are still here, but I did promise them to take a look on their questions. So I'd like to spend maybe just a couple of minutes to answer the question raised last time.
Okay.
So someone asked, I think one question is, will NMN help autism, right? So there are
He's here today.
Oh, okay.
And he asked the same question below. Yes.
Yeah, so I find an article, I can post the article link in the chat for everyone. So in Nature, it's a very good magazine. There are publications to show that in animal study, we have to understand this is an animal study, and it's NR, not NMN, it's NR, which is very close to NMN, help restore some symptoms from mouse model of autism. So it appears that it's helpful. It can, at least in the animal study, it shows some positive effect. But again, this is probably a not very clinical significant discovery. But I do want to mention, I want to post it into to the group to everyone in this. So that is a Nature publication. So there's hope. I think it's promising, especially this publication is in Nature, one of the most prestigious journal in the world. So that's encouraging. Another question asked, will NMN help with heavy metal toxicity? My answer to this is if someone is poisoned by the heavy metal, and if it's serious and urgent, you need to go to a hospital for treatment. And there's a treatment called chelation. Chelators are compound that can bind to the heavy metal with high affinity. It can help to get rid of them or most of them from the system. But that treatment also needs to be managed by the healthcare professionals because itself has some risk. But other than that, I only found one article. It's actually a study in worms. It's not even mouse, it's even lower creature worms. In the worms, the study shows that NAD supplement can reduce the toxicity caused by methyl mercury. It's an organic form of mercury. So in the nerve system. So there are some studies to show it may work, but the studies still preliminary, and the result is unclear to me. But there are some studies to show that at least in this animal model, there's some protective effect of NAD plus against organic form of mercury. So I'm going to post it here as well. And I think another question someone were asking, can we buy an equipment machine for NAD test? How NAD is tested? So looks like NAD, there are different methods to measure the NAD level in our body, right? The laboratory, most of these are done in the laboratory. They can use some very expensive equipment like HPLC MS, is high performance liquid chromatography mass spectrometer. So that's a very mouthful of a word to test NAD level. And also there are some new methods using a fluorescent solution to measure the NAD level. But you not only need the equipment, but you also need a technician, someone who knows how to operate on this. So if you are just curious about buying a machine to test NAD yourself, I would say it's impossible. You probably it's better to spend a couple of $100s to have your NAD level tested by a laboratory. So I guess that's the answer to the questions raised last time.
Okay. All right, thank you. People still keep asking questions right here, and we already know this already 9 o'clock right here in the
midnight. So
yeah, midnight. Yeah, but there is a question I definitely need to ask you about the is the beauty product okay to apply on eye area?
I don't think there's a problem. Any problem? I don't. I guess you are not saying apply to the eye, right? Eye area, it should be okay. Otherwise, our product will warn customers, don't apply to your area close to your eye.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, it's everything is safe for our company's products. All the products are safe, so feel free to use that. No problem on that. Okay. I have more questions coming up, but I'm going to make a copy of these questions for next time. Okay. Make sure next time you come to our training session, and Dr. Zhang will answer your questions next time. And the time is up. Thank you so much. Today is like, thanks for everyone to come today and also sharing all your questions and experience with us. And we very appreciate all these questions. Okay. And thank you again, Donna, for your insightful advice and also a great experience in sharing with us today. It's very helpful and very beneficial to all of us. All right. I think, yeah. Thank you. And thanks again for everyone to spend your time with us today. And also, Dr. Zhang, thank you so much. I appreciate you always spend so much time on doing all this preparation for our knowledge increase right here. Okay, so thank you so much.
This was a great meeting tonight. I really enjoyed it. And I just want to let everyone know that your time is valuable to us.
Yes.
So we really appreciate you spending time with us, because we're definitely here to benefit you. We benefit from our research, but we want you to benefit from what we found as well. And so your time is very valuable to us, and we appreciate you being here.
Thank you. Yes. And I wish you everyone have a great weekend and continued success in our eye health business. And the other week, like next 2 weeks, actually the week after next week, okay, we come to this session again at the same time and same persons, and welcome to join us with all your friends, whoever you can invite it, welcome to join. Thank you so much. Have a great weekend, and God bless everyone. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Good night. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's great. Thank you.
night.
Have a nice weekend.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you so much.
Hello,